Welcome in, everybody, to today's episode of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. It is July 12th, 2023. It is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Days are a little weird at times. Always forgetting without football and soccer on, it's never know what's happening. But I'm Jerry Walker. Alongside me, as always, when we're talking soccer, is Jackson Fyda. And Jackson, how you doing today?
I'm good. You're right, dude. Time's flying by. I only have 1 week left at home all summer. It's just gone crazy fast.
Oh, I bet. Well, been a good summer for you so far?
Yeah. League champion now too. I don't think
Congratulations.
we ended up winning that. So league champs qualify for US Open Cup qualifier. So
Sweet.
cool stuff there. I'm not going to be here for any of that, but still kind of cool.
Still qualify. Well, you won't fly back to help out the team, or?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, hard to blame you. But anyway, we have so much news because last time you and I spoke about all of the stuff in the soccering world was last Monday, so a week and a bit ago. Let's start with the Gold Cup because that's been a big tournament involving the U.S., and we're into the semifinals now.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I hope everyone watched the U.S.-Canada game, first of all, before we get going. Because that was actually such an exciting game. I know I was in our work chat. I was having a few beers. I was up at like the bar after spending a whole day on a boat. So I had a few beers in me, and I was like, bro, if you're not watching this, you need to get on it right now.
Yeah, I know I was not watching it, but
no one was responding. I was like, what? But yeah, that was such an incredible game in terms of just like the straight viewership of it. I thought we would lose. Yeah, I just thought we were going to lose. So yeah, Wi-Fi's are like kind of out. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it ended up being like going to penalties, right? It was 2-2 in regulation, then U.S. won, 3-2 on penalties. And
yeah.
Turner that stepped up and was kind of the hero in the end.
Yeah, Turner saved 2, and then Canada hit their final one off the bar, which Turner has now saved 14 of 29 penalties in his entire career. That's nearly 50%, which is an insane statistic to think about.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. But yeah, Turner with that. We scored in like the 88th minute with Brandon Vasquez. Brilliant ball from DeJuan Jones on the left foot as well. And I've been singing Brandon Vasquez's praise all tournament, like before it even started. Jesus Ferreira's obviously been balling out. Granted, it's only been against Caribbean teams, so keep that in mind. But Brandon Vasquez has kind of been a nice little spark plug off the bench. Scored the goal, gave us the lead. Looked like we were going to get it. And then Miles Robinson commits a handball in the box. Canada scores. I think it was Victoria who stepped up and scored it. I'm not positive. But yeah, so that made it 1-1. Yeah, it was Victoria. And then in extra time, they had a guy named Schaffelberg. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Cade Cowell. The way he just took off on the left foot, kept going, and then just rifled one past Turner to give him the lead. And what was it, the 115th?
Yeah, 109th minute to
109th minute. So at that point, I'm like, we're done, because I just didn't think we were going to score. We'd struggled to score all game. Like, we should have been scoring more than we were. And then crazy own goal in 114th minute. First looked like Busio may have gotten his foot on it. But, yeah, own goal, 2-2, penalties. Crazy stuff, nerve-wracking. But Matt Turner, man, he is Mr. USA in goal right now. Like, he's our undisputed starter. He's proven that this tournament in the World Cup, like, no one can argue it. I'm sorry, but 2 penalty saves and then third one off the crossbar, never in doubt for him.
And I'll say that's a position that the U.S. really hasn't had a solid starter at since at least Tim Howard retired, because it was Tim Howard's position for a long time, and it seemed like they were bouncing back a lot between Matt Turner, Zach Steffen, a couple other guys were thrown in the mix at times. So it's a big thing for them moving forward, especially into the upcoming World Cup years, that they have a solid goalkeeper and have that guy. Because, I mean, I can talk on England, talk on Germany, Spain. They've always had that solid goalkeeper, and they've always been just sticking with the one guy, and it hasn't been changing as much. So something good to look forward to if you're a U.S. national team fan. But in the semifinals, they're going to be playing Panama, who disposed quite easily of everyone's favorite CONCACAF team, Qatar, 4-0. Didn't look like there was much really going on in that one. Looked like Panama pretty much dominated it from the highlights I saw.
Yeah, I mean, this one was kind of obvious when you looked at it beforehand. Qatar's been absolutely terrible, and they got through the group stage in the craziest fashion ever, beating Mexico 1-0 in a game where they were completely dominated from start to finish. It's kind of like one of those FIFA games where you're just dominating like your little brother, and they somehow score some stupid like goal and then end up winning, and you're like just so frustrated. It was like that for Mexico.
Yeah,
Qatar got through, but Panama's looked really good. Qatar's looked really bad, and it kind of showed this game 4-0. Just complete domination, I want to say. Like, even though it was 1-0 at halftime, Panama was all over him. And yeah, going to be a tough one for the U.S. Panama's playing well, got decent support. Yeah, it could be a tough game.
Yeah, I mean, Panama's looked relatively strong throughout. They only have one draw along with 3 wins now, and they've been pretty dominant in all 3 of those wins from what I can remember seeing. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's not like they have a bad team either. They do have some of their regulars in it, but it'll be a fun match to see against the U.S. for sure. And I really don't know which way it's going to go because I can see that going either way. U.S. obviously has the home field advantage, but Panama has a little bit more of an experienced side in certain areas, so it'll be a tough one. But beating Canada gives the U.S. a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence, especially for Matt Turner after that penalty shootout.
Yeah, I think the U.S. are still going to be favorites. We still have good players, good team, good chemistry going. We should be favorites, but this is going to be, in my opinion, the toughest game we played so far. Obviously, Canada took us to the wire. I think this will be the toughest game we've played because there's going to be something on the line. So, like, the Jamaica game was tough, but it was the opening game of the group stage. And even then, they kind of worked us. Yeah. But this game's going to be tough. Something on the line, semifinals, trying to get the final. Again, no team besides the U.S., Mexico, and Canada has ever won the Gold Cup. Panama looks like they're hungry to be the first ones to do it. So it'll be an exciting matchup for sure.
That kind of surprises me. I mean, I know you've spoken on that before, but I still always think maybe that Costa Rica team would have done something one year, but I guess not. So
yeah,
Costa Rica, they were playing in one of the other quarterfinals against Mexico, and it didn't look like they had much of a chance. Mexico ended up winning 2-0, second half goal penalty by Pineda in the 52nd minute, and then a late one that I think was off a counterattack that Costa Rica had to throw everything forward, and Mexico just caught them out in the 87th.
Yeah, Mexico deserved to win that one. I know my brother was texting me because I wasn't able to watch the game. He's like, this game is bullshit. Like, Mexico shouldn't be winning yet. And then I look back, I watched it. I was like, yeah, they should have won. Jaime Lozano has them playing pretty well right now.
Okay.
Granted, they're playing CONCACAF teams that aren't quite up to par, but, I mean, they're playing well. You can only beat who's put in front of you. So far, they've done that minus the Qatar mishap, which was – I'm still going to talk about that because it's just so shocking.
You play that one 10 times, Mexico wins 9 of them comfortably. It's just that one where they still dominated Qatar and just one of those freak.
Yeah. But anyway, Mexico looks good. They are the best team at the tournament, I think. They've been playing like it in just about every game. They look good, and they're going to be a tough matchup for Jamaica now. But that one's going to be the fun one, I think. That one could have some fireworks because of how good Jamaica's attack is. Yeah. And then Mexico, obviously, with the fan support and their overall quality in terms of their roster. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm interested to see how Jaime Lozano does in, like, his first real kind of like test, like serious test heading into the semifinals as Mexico's interim manager.
Absolutely. And I mean, you spoke on how Mexico will be playing Jamaica. Jamaica beat Guatemala 1-0. Goal in the second half. Not really too much to talk about. Jamaica, we said before this tournament started, was one of those top 3 teams with Mexico and the U.S., kind of those two swapping back and forth, Jamaica and the U.S. And first match of the tournament was U.S. and Jamaica. And like you said earlier in the show, Jamaica dominated that one for the most part. U.S. kind of got lucky with a late substitution to get back into it and get an equalizer, but they're going to bring it to Mexico. They're absolutely going to.
Yeah, Leon Bailey, Kale Antonio, stuff like that. I've talked to Damari Gray, Bobby De Cordova-Reed. Like, their attack is deadly. And I think Andre Blake in goal is one of the best goalkeepers in this tournament, if not second best behind. I'm taking Turner, obviously, but you got it, USA. But behind him, I think Andre Blake might be better than Ochoa now when it comes to playing for the national team. Hot take. Hot take. But this tournament, he's been very good.
Yeah, Ochoa's getting to that point where even every World Cup, he'd been outstanding. This year, he struggled a little bit more, and maybe age has finally caught up to him. But I'll still say he was one of the funnest goalkeepers to watch in any major tournament because he'd disappear for 3.5 years. Then the World Cup would show up, and he'd be a star and just so much fun to watch. Hair going everywhere, diving, just incredible performance. But Johan Blake, definitely an underrated keeper. And
Andre Blake. Johan Blake's a sprinter.
Johan Blake, Andre Blake. Is he still in MLS?
Yeah, I want to say he's still at Union.
Okay.
He's been there for a while. Yeah, he's still at Union. Because I think he played college at UConn. Yeah, UConn, and then went straight to Philly.
Okay. But
he's a baller.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked a little bit about the crowd of Mexico and how that's going to put pressure on Jamaica. They're playing at the Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas, so you know there will be a lot of Mexico fans there.
Yeah.
I mean, the other semifinal between U.S. and Panama is in San Diego, so you'd think there'll still be majority U.S. fans, but Panama could travel well. They've traveled well to the World Cups in the past, and that's been a much further trip. And maybe they smell something in the air that, we can maybe actually get to a final and cause some issues for these other teams. So it's going to be two interesting semifinals. I want to get your predictions on the both of them.
U.S. wins 2-1 against Panama. Mexico wins in penalty kicks.
Okay.
I'm going – I'm stuck between 1-1 or 2-2. I think I'm going to go 2-2 penalty kicks. Mexico gets it done. Ochoa's a hero.
All right. I'm thinking if the one's going to penalties, I'm going to take the U.S. in penalties. I think that one will be 1-1 after extra time, and U.S. will get it done again with a Matt Turner save. He'll only get one this time, but I have a feeling like that'll be the difference. Then in the other one, Brain says pick Mexico, but why not? I love the team that Jamaica has, and their attack is so good and so fast. Really fun to watch. So I'm going to take Jamaica in that upset. Spoil CONCACAF's golden plan of having Mexico-U.S. final. Give us a rematch of Jamaica-U.S., which that was fun the first time. I think it could be fun the second time. So I'll take Jamaica 2-1 after extra time.
Jamaica that's a good shout. Jamaica has beat Mexico in the semifinal of the Gold Cup before. So
that'll be a fun one to watch. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. The two semifinals will be today, actually, this evening. Definitely tune into those. And do you have anything else on the Gold Cup you want to discuss before we move?
If you're not watching it, you're missing out. Some of those games, the Martinique Costa Rica game finished 6-4, absolute craziness. Like, if you're not watching these games, some of them are just awesome. With the stuff, the U.S.-Canada game, that one was fun. Like, this is a fun tournament, so definitely tune in. Going to be some fireworks in the final 3 games, so definitely don't want to miss out.
Absolutely, but I want to move on to another tournament that wrapped up this weekend, the U21 Euros. Final was England versus Spain, and it was an action-packed match. England ultimately won 1-0 with a Cody Palmer goal in the Curtis Jones goal late in the first half, 45th minute plus the 4 minutes of extra time of stoppage time. So England got the lead at the break, and really we kind of dominated the majority of that second half, and then Spain started getting it going a little bit towards the end. Then they got a penalty, and the 98th minute. And Man City's goalkeeper, because why wouldn't Man City have another great goalkeeper waiting? Sure, he's played at Bolton, and now he's going to be going to Burnley. But James Trafford 20-year-old future City goalkeeper probably, stops the penalty, stops the rebound, and then the third chance by Spain goes over the bar, and his entire teammates swarmed in, and that was about it. England ends up winning the U21 Euros, their first success in that tournament in something like 36 years. So,
Yeah.
were you watching that?
I missed most of the game, but it looks like it was absolutely crazy. When England scored, when celebrated right in front of the Spanish bench, which those are fine words. Like those are fine words. You celebrate in front of the other bench, you know what's going to happen. The Spanish substitutes came running out as this whole kind of crazy melee of people pushing each other.
Yeah.
It looked fun. They looked into it. This looked real. This looked like more important to them than you'd think a youth tournament would be.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously, that penalty save is massive when you can do that in the 98th minute of all times. Like obviously any penalty save is huge, but doing that in extra time.
Well, it was the stoppage
time. Yeah, stoppage time. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. And I mean, I was at a barbecue restaurant in Houston watching it with a friend on his phone, and everyone else is not caring the world, and the two of us are just getting excited. And then it goes to penalties, and I would still say it was a little controversial of a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
The slightest of touches on a ball that came in, got his foot barely, and then the Spanish guy just rolled around a bit. So maybe a little biased, but don't think that was necessarily a penalty. But in the end of the day, ball don't lie, as they say at times. So it'll be interesting to see how this translates to England in the Euros next year, and Spain on the other hand, because both these teams have some talented young kids that could be future stars for their two respective nations.
Yeah, and obviously doing well at any youth tournament is a good sign that you're doing something right with your youth development, and that obviously not all these players are going to end up playing for the first team, for the men's team, like the senior team. But some of them will. Some of it's going to translate. You're already part of that culture. You know what it's like to win, even if it's at youth level. So, yeah, big deal for England. You get that. They're still chasing that elusive trophy that they haven't had since the 60s. So maybe this is a good sign for them.
No, definitely in the right direction, sort of that trend. But, I mean, one other thing I want to say on this was after that final whistle, or even not even after the final whistle, after the penalty saves, there's another melee on the sidelines. A couple guys showing red cards, one each way. It was a very scrappy match overall. I want to say, including the 2 red cards, there were something like 10 cards in that match between two teams. That for a youth game, that's kind of a lot. You expect that for ones, but
they wanted it though. Like fair play, like meant something to them. They were putting everything out there, so that's what you want to see at that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, again, congrats to England. Also, shout out to Israel. Shout out to Israel's youth teams. Before this summer, I don't think anyone thought anything of what Israel's been doing with youth development. Now the whole world should be on alert. Israel's youth teams are legit. You make the semifinals of the U20 World Cup, and then a month later you make the semifinals of the U21 Euros, and you qualify for the Summer Olympics in 2024.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. Israel, I don't know what's going on because most of them play in Israel. I think a couple of them are going to get some transfer moves. I think I saw one who had a big one.
Yeah, there's one to some Bundesliga teams, I want to say.
Yeah. But yeah, they're doing something right. So we talk about what youth kind of success can mean for like the future base and foundation of the senior team. Israel could be getting some stuff going, and now Manor Solomon transfers to Tottenham, so they got him doing well at the senior level. Youth team's doing well. Watch out for Israel in the next 3 to 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, the window's not going to be there quite yet, but in that future, once these kids if they do start moving around a bit, definitely a team that could surprise some people.
Mm-hmm.
See, maybe something similar to Greece in 2004, where all the pieces just click perfectly and they make a long, deep run and win the Euros.
Yeah,
anything is really possible in this sport, and that's why we love it so much. But
100%.
There is one other international tournament that happened. It was wrapped up this week that I do want to just briefly touch on. wasn't one that was really televised or shown much in the U.S., but the under 23 African Cup of Nations, that final was this weekend, and it was Morocco versus Egypt. Egypt struck first with a really nice long shot, and then Morocco equalized a little while after, send it to extra time, and then in extra time, Morocco had this free kick. I like the routine. The guy they're staying to the left of the half circle, played it on the ground across, first time strike, terrible shot, bounced off the ground, hit the Egypt goalkeeper, and went into the back of the net for Morocco to win. Not great. Should have saved it. I think
the same.
Yep. It's not great, but who knows? I don't know if you saw any of those highlights or anything, but
no, I didn't. I wish I'd followed this tournament more closely.
Yeah.
That's like my regret from this summer is not following this more closely because senior level AFCON is awesome. So, and it looked like this one was pretty fun too. So
it's definitely action packed. And I mean, I guess a big thing for Egypt was their goal scorer got a red card shortly after he scored. So it was they were playing down a man for majority of that match.
Yeah.
But
hey, for Morocco, we're talking about Israel doing bits. How about Morocco now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Semifinals of the World Cup, and then U team wins U23 AFCON, also going to the Olympics in, Paris next year. So exciting times for Morocco.
Indeed. And I mean, there's a lot of good African teams coming back because I mean, obviously Egypt's been the front of it along with Senegal the last few years, but Morocco with the World Cup slowly started getting better. Ghana's getting better again after they had a little bit of a dip, as is Nigeria. The team that I've heard a lot about is Mali. Mali is apparently getting a much stronger team. They ended up winning the third place match in this U23 AFCON. So another African team to kind of keep an eye on. So
yeah.
And I mean, it's all exciting news ahead of, I know the next senior AFCON is next January in the Ivory Coast. So
dude, yeah.
Definitely, if you don't follow that or don't watch it, you have to, because
most fun tournament at senior level on the planet.
It might not necessarily be the best quality because I would say Euros and Copa America have that.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of just entertainment, chaos, and superstar players, AFCON kind of gives it all.
Yeah, best tournament on the planet.
So much fun. We'll see how many laser pointers get pointed this year when it comes to penalties, though. But we'll move on from that stuff, move into some more news that we've heard recently. And Jackson, there's some big news regarding the USL and the possible addition of relegation and promotion at long last. You want to speak on that for a bit?
Yeah, so when I saw this yesterday on Twitter, I got so excited because we need this in this country. I'm hoping the vote goes through. So basically, the USL is going to have its Board of Governors meeting. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Basically, the USL club owners, league executives, yada, 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 are going to meet in Colorado Springs on August 9th and 10th to vote on whether they're interested in adding promotion or relegation to the USL ranks. So this vote isn't actually to get the format. It's just to kind of gauge interest and see. But it looks like, according to Tom Bogart, who's like huge in the U.S. soccer circle, like huge insider, he said that a source told him it's looking positive. It's not like certain because there's opposition, obviously, but it's looking positive that it'll happen. And it could be implemented as soon as 2025, promotion and relegation. So basically the structure that they're looking at as of now, obviously this is all subject to change. They're not even voting on the idea or on the structure, just the idea. But the structure that I've kind of seen thrown around the most is USL Championship. First will be the highest division. Then they're going to create a new division below that's sandwiched between USL Championship and USL League One, which will be the bottom one. So USL Championship right now, second division. USL League One is third division. So they're looking at adding another division in between. So there's still a lot to be kind of figured out here. Like, how are they going to get past the USSF division sanctioning rules, which determine whether a team can be in a certain division or not based on market size, stadium size, investor, like net worth, basically, like main investor net worth.
Yeah.
I guess owner, not investor, but stuff like that. So they got to figure out how to deal with that, which honestly, at that point, you might as well, I guess a way around it would be getting every team just Division II sanctioning, and they just move up and down. I think that's what they'd have to do. That still has to be ironed out. But yeah, exciting times going on right now if this happens, and it looks like it will. They are planning, if they can, on getting the 3-league kind of format going in 2024, getting some expansion teams in there, and then starting Pro Rel in 2025. I think they got to expand a little bit. I know they're talking with some markets. They've got 24 teams in USL Championship right now, 12 in League One, so they're going to need a few to kind of step up and step in. Obviously, USL 2, which is their amateur division, has some pretty strong clubs that look ready to jump. My club here, Battleborn, looks ready to jump to pro levels, whether that's USL or MLS Next Pro. So teams like that are going to probably be welcomed in because they're going to need some teams to kind of like fill that void, especially if they're creating a third league.
Yeah.
I know USL is looking at expansion teams in Rhode Island, Des Moines, Milwaukee, and I want to say New Orleans, but I'm not entirely positive. So that would kind of bring the numbers up to 28, which would be a good thing for them.
Yeah.
I forget who USL League One has. I think they've got like Santa Barbara coming in, and then what else do they have? Spokane, a team in Brooklyn. I forgot about that, a team in Brooklyn. So, yeah, all this could lead up to promotion and relegation in the U.S. before the World Cup. All this stuff leading up to the World Cup is going to create so much excitement. It's a good thing. And it could make the USL competitive with the MLS. One source said that for the USL, basically, to be competitive with the MLS, he feels like they need this because the MLS has just been expanding. They're getting superstars. It's hard to beat the intrigue of Pro Rel, though. You're going to get better TV contracts. You're going to get more people like invested in their local teams. Like this could be huge for the USL. They're already kind of at war with the MLS because of MLS Next Pro launching, which competes directly with USL League One. If this goes well, there's nothing to stop them from also getting first division sanctioning. And then Soccer Wars will be at a full-scale kind of battle in the U.S. So this is exciting times. I'm curious to see if it goes through. Been looking forward to Pro Rel in the U.S. I'm a huge U.S. soccer junkie. I've been looking forward to this day for so long. I know there are so many people out there who have. Obviously, you want the MLS involved, but we kind of do need a trial list, and it looks like the USL is willing to step up to the plate and do that. I'm hoping it goes through, and I'm hoping we see it as soon as possible because that will be huge news that will permanently alter the soccer landscape in the USA.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been hoping for this for a long time. Like you said, wish the MLS was involved. But this is the thing to me that kept the U.S. soccer level just a little behind the rest of the world. Obviously, Mexico's disbanded it. I think Argentina has also disbanded relegation promotion, or they might have brought that back now. But all of Europe, they have relegation promotion. It just makes the games mean more.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing for me is you have to play. You actually can't let up where the MLS, sure, Inter Miami right now, I'll use them as an example. Obviously, they're getting a couple decent players coming in soon, but they're sitting second to bottom in the table. There's nothing, no motivation at all for them to get better.
Mm-hmm.
None at all, because then they finish second bottom or bottom. You get a top 2-3 draft pick. Whereas now over in Europe, you finish bottom or even third bottom in the Premier League, you go down a division, you lose so much money, you end up losing players and all that. So it just makes everything mean more. It makes you invest more in the club to begin with. And it brings the fans something else to root for because I know as sad as it is, like following Leeds the last few years, when it comes down to the relegation battle, you're just rooting even harder for your team just to survive. You're not rooting for a title. You're not rooting to win anything. You just don't want to be one of those teams that gets relegated. I think this is going to benefit the U.S. format extremely well. We'll see if it works out. I do think, like you said, they are looking to add some teams. So I think they do need to do that. Need maybe another division, but hey, it's a start, and hopefully it blows up. Hopefully it all works out. And I'd love at the end of the day to see the MLS get involved with it. I think they're too money conscious about that. It's
Yeah,
too much of a business and not a sport. But is what it is. That's kind of to be expected. I am wondering if there's any possible way this translates to any other sports. I don't really see how it necessarily could.
yeah, I don't know. I
The
don't,
only
especially like traditional U.S. sports. I feel like, could you imagine NFL with this if they somehow did like pro rel to like the XFL or USFL? I think they'd be rioting.
see, I mean, that would be crazy, but also like even just those two, XFL, USFL, it's pretty much the same rules. You can change up and down, same game. The only one I think that it could ever really work out with would be maybe baseball. Like obviously it's not perfect because they're all each major league team has teams below it. But imagine being the worst MLB team and then you have to play the top AAA team for your place to stay in the league. Nine
Yeah,
times out of 10, the MLB team would win, but you never know. And I mean, that's the only one that has the levels and divisions that I think would work. Hockey, maybe.
yeah,
There's so many different hockey leagues, but
yeah. They're dude. They're. I know there's a team coming to Tahoe now.
yeah, owned
Like
by
Tim
Tim Tebow.
Tebow, dude, coming to South Lake, and what are we like? It's some. I don't know if it's an NHL affiliate or what it is, but yeah, it seems like there's so many. Because then in Peoria we have the Peoria Rivermen who play in a league that's not affiliated with the NHL at all, and they're pro hockey. Feels like there's so many pro hockey leagues out there.
Yeah, so Tebow's team would be in the ECHL, which some NHL teams do have ECHL affiliates, so it could end up potentially being a minor league team for some NHL team, but got to see how it works. I'm excited for that because I know they had the outdoor games a couple years ago at Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
That was cool. Only downside was the sun was really hot still, so it melted the ice and made it kind of a swimming pool at times, but still so cool to be playing out there. It's such a pretty place, and I think this team will have some success, especially with a guy like Tim Tebow owning it and kind of leading the push for it.
better believe I'm going to games. That's gonna be friggin' awesome. Up at South Lake too. South Lake Tahoe is a beautiful city.
Yeah.
So that's just another reason to go up, to like get up there, make the hour 20-minute drive.
Have you ever been to a minor league hockey game?
Dude, I've never been to a hockey game.
Oh,
That's just so much fun.
minor league hockey is so great
Really.
because all these obviously like you get the super stupid cheap beer prices, all the cheap concessions, cheap tickets, but on the ice, majority of these guys, especially at like the ECHL level, aren't going to end up being pros. They're going to have to work a long way. So they're out there just scrapping and fighting, and you'll get line brawls, heavier hits. It's just a great atmosphere for the game I've been to. So, and just seeing highlights of, they're so entertaining because I mean, I love the NHL as well. It's just such a fast-paced game, but minor league hockey, something about it is just so much fun to watch.
It's got that little janky charm to it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. It's if AFCON was on ice at times.
Oh, I'm in.
They just need to get the crowds a little wilder, but I guess that's what $2 beer night does for you. So,
Dude, hell yeah.
no, those games are fun. But back to kind of the topic we usually are talking about, transfers, considering it is the transfer window at the moment. A couple big ones. We'll start with the ones to Saudi Arabia. Robert Firmino is going to Saudi Arabia. And who was the other one we just mentioned?
Oh, Milinkovic-Savic, yeah. Milinkovic-Savic. Which that one, he's still an elite level midfielder, kind of in his relative prime. How old is he? I want to say like 20.
Yeah, but 40 million euro, 40 million for his move to Al Hilal from Lazio. I find that crazy because he's still a solid level player for Serbia, and he was right in the Cup squad. How old was he?
28.
28. So still right in the middle of his prime. And then like Robert Firmino, obviously won everything at Liverpool. I still think he has a little bit left in his tank, so maybe could have spent another year in a different European side, but go get your bag.
Yeah.
Make that move to Saudi Arabia. Why not? At his age, he's kind of getting a little up there, but nothing too crazy. So, what are your thoughts on both of those? Because there's a couple others that they're trying to sign.
Yeah. I mean, Bobby, again, you're older. Go get your bag. That's totally fine. Milinkovic Savic, though, you're 28. You're an elite level midfielder.
Yeah.
I get it, but at the same point in time, what do you want to go challenge yourself at one of the elite clubs in the world, at least for a year? I don't know. I don't like how some of these dudes are going over, like Ruben Neves. I guess Saudi Arabia, they're doing a good job of getting some pretty good players over there, so maybe league will be better, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't like the Milinkovic Savic one.
No.
I feel like he still has way more to give. That's a Football Manager favorite signing of mine. Is always Milinkovic Savic. So best of luck to him. He's gonna make a lot of money. So I guess let's be real, that's why people are going over there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what you're looking for. I guess he found the right landing spot.
I will say, I do think, because obviously that was the whole thing with China, the Chinese Super League, when they did all their spending, was that, it was going to bring in a ton of money for them, and it's going to make a ton of money for the players. That didn't end up being the case. We've spoken before that oil money is going to keep coming in. So I think Saudi Arabia is going to be able to bring in more and more players at like this 28, 27-year-old range, a couple others who are a bit younger as well at some point. So I do think, as much as I don't like the idea at the moment, I think this league could grow very well. It's just going to end up being TV rights, and how is it going to grow that way? Because I guess it's not that far from Europe, so you can still have that shorter time zone, but it's an American audience or something. It's going to be harder to watch. I will say there was some other news around Saudi Arabian League today. Cristiano Ronaldo's team, Al Nassr, has been banned by FIFA from registering new players. I think it was because they didn't pay some sort of fee to Leicester when they signed someone from them. So there's already the first red flag we've seen of FIFA kind of slowing down Saudi Arabia's takeover.
Yep, there we go. Figured something was going to happen eventually based on the fact that this is Saudi friggin' Arabia. Yeah. But I didn't even know about that till right now. That just happened today, huh?
I saw something on Instagram earlier today about it, and I was like, oh yeah, should bring that up for sure. But
they're claiming a transfer fee. For who are they claiming it for? Oh, Musa.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, yeah. Wow. Yeah, there it is. There's the first red flag.
We'll see if more are to come after, but I mean,
we knew one was going to happen. We knew one was going to happen for sure.
Oh yeah, and of course it was the first team to really start bringing players.
Yeah.
But another other transfer we want to talk about that became official today. Christian Pulisic to AC Milan. We kind of knew it was going to be done, but it was officially announced by the club today that he is moving to Italy. I think we were both on board that this is a good move for him.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Pioli wants to play him at the 10 role, which Pulisic looks like he prefers.
Okay.
So he wants to play him in there as a 10, which I was kind of curious to see where they were going to play him. They're going with 10. They like him in there. So looks like Pioli has confidence in him. Pulisic's going to have a more than decent chance at getting playing time, it looks like. So good move for them. He needed to get out of Chelsea. I'm really glad he did. And, exciting times if you're an American fan.
Oh, yeah.
He moved, and he didn't really – I wouldn't even call this a huge step down. I don't even know if this is a step down. This is a Champions League team. He wasn't going to play Champions League if he stayed at Chelsea. So he gets to stay in the Champions League, a team that reached the semifinals of the Champions League. Gets to live in a much more beautiful place than London. No offense, but it's Milan.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat Milan.
Yeah.
So on all kind of fronts, this is a great move for him. And I think he's going to do really well. I brought this up in the article I wrote about it. De Bruyne was 22 and Salah was 24 when they left Chelsea. Pulisic is 24. There's plenty. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as those two, but there's plenty of time for him to regain that kind of elite form that he's had in the past, that he's shown glimpses of every now and then at Chelsea.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, the thing at Chelsea was like he was good at Borussia Dortmund, but then he came to the Premier League, and Chelsea spent, as we know, spent so much money in the last few years that he kind of just fell down the pecking order. A couple injuries here and there pushed him completely out of the first team selection, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does in Italy because I think he'll get significantly more playing time because that attack, obviously, there are some studs like Rafael Leao, but I think he can find a way to fit in on that team in that 10 spot.
Yeah, exciting stuff for him. I'm thinking he's going to do good things at AC Milan. It's obviously the defending's good, but the physicality is significantly less in Italy than it is in England. And I
Yeah.
feel like he just struggled with that because obviously at international level, you play a few games every now and then. So if you get battered, it's fine because you're only playing a few games. But when you're having it happen to you week in, week out by dudes who are just physically bigger than you, it takes a toll on your body. So I'm hoping this is a better move for him and a better fit physically at this point in his career. I'm going to make a shout that Pulisic will be back in the Premier League
Okay.
in 5 years. Arsenal, calling it. But in all seriousness, great move for him, and looking forward to seeing what he does wearing the famous red and black stripes.
Yeah. Across the city from, or really in the same stadium, not even across the city, from AC Milan is Inter Milan, and they're possibly losing not one but two goalkeepers this transfer window. Big one is Andre Onana. Looking, all reports are pointing towards him moving to Man United, and then Samir Handanovic says he's going to be leaving when his contract expired. So two of them are out at Inter, with reports of a couple other guys they're looking at coming in, including Jan Sommer. So that'd be interesting. But I want to talk on Onana because that's the really big one here is moving to Man United, especially after they just said they're not re-signing David De Gea, so he'll be gone. Do you think this is a good move for him?
I don't know. I think it will be fine. He's a goalkeeper, and I think Ten Hag's a good manager. United's having a little bit of a semi-renaissance, getting back to like good levels. So I think this will be fine. He can play with his feet. Very good shot stopper. I think it's a great signing for Manchester United. Great signing. He's one of the best goalkeepers on the market, I think. He was great last season. How will he do? I don't know. I feel like it's a crapshoot. I think he'll do well. I think he will. He's a good goalkeeper. But De Gea was a good goalkeeper, and he went through some struggling periods. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does. He's been in Italy for, 3-4 years, ever since his whole gambling ban. No, banned substance ban. That's what it was when he was at Ajax. Yeah. But he's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So great signing for Manchester United. I think he'll do well ultimately. I just feel like sometimes it's iffy with players going to Manchester United and the Premier League in general. But I feel like a goalkeeper, it's not as big of a deal. We'll see though. But great signing for Manchester United. Losing De Gea, getting Onana. Good signing for them.
Yeah, I think it's an upgrade for sure. We've seen how De Gea has played the last couple seasons, and not all of it's his fault. That defense, as long as Harry Maguire's in there, for some reason at Man U is not good. But they now have Varane, Lissandro Martinez. So sadly, as much as it hurts probably both of us to say it, they're going to be much, much better this year. Onana gives them that other berth to not necessarily immediately compete with City and Arsenal and possibly Newcastle, but definitely going to be up there.
I think one of the biggest things about if they bring Onana is just his ability to play with his feet. That kind of – because when you can get someone who can shot stop and then can play balls out. Like we've seen what Ederson can do at City. Onana's obviously not as good, but just that makes things easier for the defenders, knowing that the goalkeeper can successfully play a ball. It allows attacks to start. So all of that will come together for United. So yeah, if this goes through, massive deal for them. Like you said, sadly, United looks like they'll probably be getting better.
Yeah, tragic. But another last week we talked a lot on center backs and how that's a big key position of players that could be moving. And one of them has now. Pau Torres, 26-year-old center back, played at Villarreal, has made the move to Aston Villa. I think that's a great move for Villa. He's a solid young center back that already has 23 caps for Spain. He's a good, talented guy in that back. And I mean, the fee might be a little high in my opinion, 32.5 million euros with a 5 million add-on, but I think they're getting every penny's worth for him.
Yeah, and Aston Villa is continuing their kind of push to be up there with the big boys. You know, Emery's doing decent bits there. So this is a good signing, good step in the right direction. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the Premier League and how Aston Villa does next season. Great season last year. So looking to build on it this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't know much else to say. They are one of those sneaky teams that always seems to kind of fly below the radar when they are good. It just that they make it a little more difficult for other teams, but we will see. Are there any other transfers you want to talk about that have happened? Because I have a few other notes I want to touch on in a second, but
just all that stuff going on at PSG right now, complete rebuild. Yeah. Luis Enrique in as manager, and now you've got Ugarte in. Ugarte, I think, probably better than Declan Rice. I rate Ugarte so much.
Okay.
He's an incredible defensive midfielder. Led the Champions League group stages in interceptions and tackles for 90, led the Portuguese league, was one of the best in the world at doing that. Also lead on the ball. I'm hoping it works out for him. I've always really rated him. He's also only 22 years old. So, yeah, I want to say, 22 years old. Great signing for them. Also got Asensio and Skriniar on free transfers, which great deals getting those two on free transfers. Asensio has an absolute wand of a left foot. His only problem at Real Madrid is that they just have better players. Like, he's not going to take Vinny's spot. Rodrigo's probably going to keep his spot over him. But Asensio, very good player, can cut in on the left foot, can play a killer ball, can shoot from distance. Great there. Skriniar is an elite center back. Obviously, he was hurt during the Champions League final against Man City, which kind of hurt Inter Milan, I think, severely. Because Skriniar, very physical, great tackler, kind of has that defense-first mindset. But he's also very good on the ball. Like, he can play those balls. But he has that kind of defensive attitude where it's just, you know what I mean? He's just a dog when it comes to defending. Like, it's defense first. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to win that tackle no matter what. I'm going to win that header no matter what. So they got him on a free transfer. Then they got Lucas Hernandez, another center back / left back if he really wants to, from Bayern. Great signing. One of the best in the world at what he does. He's heading to, I think it's the first time he's going to play in France, even though he's on the French national team. And then they signed exciting young Lee Kang-in from, where is it from? I want to say Mallorca.
Okay.
No, yeah, it was Mallorca. So Lee Kang-in is coming. So they've got first South Korean player to ever play for PSG. So far they've already made some very aggressive moves in the transfer window in a short amount of time. This was all in 1 week. As soon as Enrique was announced as the new manager, they suddenly got all these guys in. So PSG is looking to make some moves because they're kind of rebuilding. So it's going to be exciting to see how this team looks compared to the superstar team of recent years that just hasn't worked.
Yeah, I think they kind of need to rebuild a little bit. And they did that with another signing today. 18-year-old Sharon Dor from Benfica has only one start with the senior team, so I would assume he'll be part of PSG's youth team at the moment. But he looks like a very promising talent in the midfield that could just add another guy. He's part of Italy's under 20 team now and won titles with, or played for their under the U19 Euros last year or this year, the U19 Euros. So definitely one to keep an eye out on there. I do want to talk briefly on Leeds because there was some news that came out this week about some players that are actually considering staying, as well as some news about the ownership today. But Tyler Adams and Max Bober have both apparently been reported to be wanting to stay at Leeds and not leave this summer. Try and fight back to the Premier League and then see what happens after that. But what do you think of that? Because, I mean, Adams could probably go get a big money signing somewhere else in the Premier League.
Yeah, 100%. But if he wants to stay, all credit to him. You know, he trusts the process. He likes the team, likes the environment. He was more welcomed by Leeds fans than the other Americans. Yeah. That may be part of it. I feel like he was your guys' most important player.
I mean, as soon as he got hurt, the whole season kind of went to shits.
Yeah. So he's your kind of guy. So he might just want to stay and be like, I know I'm going to play. Championship's still a good level. Why go somewhere else and possibly sit on the bench when I can just stay here? We'll keep some guys together. We got new American ownership, which may play a part. Yeah. And just try and fight back to the Premier League. So I like that from Tyler Adams. Obviously, he's been linked with Aston Villa, West Ham, I think, Everton? Yeah. Teams like that. But if he wants to stay, all credit to him. Great news if you're a Leeds fan.
And I wonder how much for both of those players. Is it like now Daniel Farke has come in and he's won the championship twice. His last two times managing in it with Norwich, he won the league. So he has that experience and knows how to play and has an exciting style of play as well that maybe they just want to be a part of, which would be great. And I mean, like I've said before for other players, Pulisic, we've mentioned it about, you're not going to lose your spot on the national team by playing in a lower division or playing less. So might as well risk it if you're going to be playing more often than not. So I'm here for it, but we'll see. Still a long way to go. I know that championship season starts in 25 days. Premier League season starts a week after that. So a lot of time left till the end of the summer transfer window. One final thing just on Leeds. It was announced today that there are two new members of the ownership group. Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. Two professional golfers are now part of the 49ers investment group. The weirdest one for me is Larry Nance Jr. is part of that ownership group as well.
Really?
The NBA player. Don't know how or why, but all of a sudden these three guys are part of it. I know at least for the two golfers, a lot of that has come from I can't think of the guy whose caddy it is, but one of the big name golfers' caddy is a huge Leeds fan. So he's been trying to recruit these guys to become Leeds fans. And now I think he's helped push them into getting into the ownership side. So I think it'll be great. Brings in a little extra money and it brings some more big names on the American side of things to an ownership group.
Yeah. And that's we've seen some celebrity owners kind of making moves in the soccer world recently. Yeah. Obviously, Wrexham, that's the main story. I still need to finish that first season. I
haven't finished it yet either.
Yeah, I got some episodes to finish. But then I think Michael B. Jordan with Bournemouth, and now these two guys with the Leeds. A lot of Americans want to get involved with soccer. It's a big money-making thing, and it's obviously fun to watch. I mean, that's why we love it. So, yeah, good news for Leeds. What does this really do for you guys? Interest to you guys, or?
I think it's more kind of bringing in more viewership and more sort of that stuff. It just adds a little bit money on the backside because from my understanding, it's just they're kind of joining the group that's already there. So it's just kind of namesake that it'll be big names that are kind of known around at least all the U.S. I think it's more for the marketing side of things than anything, but we will see what happens from that. I'm here for it. Keep bringing in new guys, and just kind of glad that they're old owner is gone, but it seems like they're just going to be minority owners.
Yeah, but that's what you expect. To be like a majority owner, those guys have money that these pro athletes will never touch. Some of these guys, they just have different levels of money.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's part of the thing that it's the 49ers that have kind of leading this way, and they want to get back into the Premier League. So, from what I've read, Ricky Fowler was meant to be part of it, but he backed out after relegation happened, rightfully so. But
yeah, fair enough.
We will see. Jackson, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up? We're kind of approaching that hour mark.
Messi is in Miami.
Yes,
he's here. He got a burger at the Hard Rock. He is fully in to the Miami lifestyle. He's here. Let's get this going.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. What is it? July 16th. So Saturday, I think they're doing the official presentation.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be
Oh, my God. Him. I feel bad for Busquets because obviously that's a huge name coming, and they're probably going to do both of them on the same day. But, no one's going to have a single question for Busquets apart from, did you come here only because of Messi?
Yeah. I think he knows that, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think he cares all that much. He's going to ball out. And now the question is, can they turn around that Inter Miami side that is just god-awful so far?
I know. We keep talking about this.
I think they're officially, I think, the second worst team now in the MLS.
Hey, there you go. Little improvement.
Yeah, second worst. So they've actually moved down from third worst to second worst.
Jeez.
Let's go, Rapids.
Weren't they worst at one point?
What?
I think they were the worst at one point.
Okay, so they are on the move up.
Yeah, but you said they were third worst, so that means they were improving. Now they're back down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like they've won for a minute.
No, they have not.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They haven't won an MLS match of their last 10.
Oh, that's tough.
May 13th was the last time. So 2 months tomorrow, was the last time they won an MLS match.
We're going to see if they can do it. It might not be this year for them. Playoffs still doable.
Playoffs are definitely doable. Because what is it?
Too far off. I think they're 9 points off, 12 points off.
Yeah, because is it top 8 in the MLS?
Top 9.
Top 9, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are currently at 18 points. Montreal is at 26. So yeah, 8 points for that 9th place spot.
Yeah, it is more than doable. But
I mean, that'd be a crazy story. They get the 9 seed and somehow win the whole tournament.
Messi just goes off.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to just still dominate everybody he plays against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if they can go and bring in, obviously, 2 more old guys that have been connected for a while, Sergio Ramos and Jordi Alba. Get those 2 guys in. It's going to be fun.
Jordi Alba looks certain to join. Sergio Ramos still a little.
Is that Saudi or?
Yeah. It's going to be Saudi or MLS, which make the right call, man. Hop on the train.
Bag.
U.S. soccer. Hop on the train.
Hey. And I mean, we've said it so many times with the World Cup, the Euros, Copa America, Club World Cup, all in the U.S. in the next few years. It's a great time to be in the U.S.
And now we got Pro Rel maybe coming.
Pro Rel.
Everything.
I do want to just give one more thing before we wrap this up. Women's World Cup starts, I guess, next week. That'll be something maybe to keep an eye on, just something that's out there. If you're looking for a World Cup, it's still top-level players, but, yeah, I'll leave it at that. U.S.
Don't pull it, U.S.
Yeah, U.S. should win it, but we'll see. Jackson, thank you as always. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for watching. Check out all of our stuff on the Vendetta Sports Media website. Check out the Twitter page for Vendetta. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, make sure you click that subscribe button. Stay tuned for another episode tomorrow. We'll talk to you guys later and have a good one.